Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Andrus, Psychic Medium, and this is your weekly reading for December 29th through January 3rd. And wow, how fast this year has gone. It's funny how time flies. This week, we are using the magical messages for from the fairies, cards, and I have shuffled and pre-drawn the cards. And as always, I feel when the fairies are around, we have a bonus card this week. So let's see what this week that we welcome in the new year has in store for us, okay? This is your Monday, Tuesday card, and it says, everything's okay. Don't worry, it's all working out in a beautiful way. I don't know about you, but lately I have had what I feel like is some old stuff come up. And what I mean by that is saying that, a couple nights ago, I just had a night where it was like I was feeling sad and feeling some emotion and some tears came out. And some of the stuff, well, frankly, the emotions that we tend to stuff as humans, it's like we just rather kind of shelve it and not pay attention to it. And sometimes it just comes up and it's like you can be having a tough night. They want me to use an example. As some of you know, and maybe not all of you know, but I am an author. I'm a self-published author of both fiction and nonfiction. And it's so wonderful when people review your books and say wonderful, nice things. But there's also sometimes when people review your books and they say not so nice things. It kind of goes with the territory. And I had a moment the other night where somebody had just given me a not so nice rating. And sometimes I think as sensitives and empaths, it's harder for us to take stuff like that. I would like to say that being an author is not for the weak of heart, but it's not true. It's just being an author, it requires courage. And, there's no person in history that did anything good that was ever 100% liked. I know that one of my teachers, Doreen Virtue, says this, and think of people that are famous in history that may have even been, killed for taking a stand or doing something brave. They're saying that you're okay now, for the most part, times like that are behind us, but we're still going to have moments like I'm saying that I had, a not so great rating on my book Gifted, which basically said I'm sure this person is a great psychic medium, but she's not a great author. Something to that effect. And it hurt. I mean, I'm human. I don't know if people realize when they leave these reviews that authors are human, but guess what? We are. And I just had a moment where I thought, why the hell am I doing this? I mean, why did I take a stand and write these books? I didn't have to do this. I don't have to do anything. I'm self-published. I could take all my books down right now. Now, I'm not going to give it all that power and give it to the one or two people that don't like my books, but I'm human just like everybody else. They're also wanting me to use another example with you that one of my friends said something to the effect, one of my spiritual friends, if you will, said something to the effect like she felt bad that she said something about somebody in a store, or just kind of mumbled under her breath that he was rude. And I thought to myself and did put it out there and want to share it with you, which is I think that when I have moments like that, I'm allowed to be human. If we were here to be our spiritual selves 100% of the time, we would have stayed in heaven where things were easy, but we came down to earth to have a body and a human experience. That means it's okay to be human sometimes, to have moments like I just shared with you where the rating hurt. I wanted to pull all my books down. Maybe that's a little dramatic. Obviously, I didn't do that. But I also have moments where I think to myself, it's okay for me not to like somebody. I mean, I'm human. I love most people and I like most people, but it's okay if I feel like I don't like somebody or I don't like something they do. But honest to God, I just feel like there's truth in this message. It's okay not to like everybody, period. I'm here to help people, and I'm here to help people that want my help. Or maybe I'm here to help in my very being, but I'm human. I make comments like that. I have moments like that. And as I've grown and evolved spiritually, I've gotten much better. obviously by seeing the light and love in many situations, but there are still people I don't like, situations I don't like, things I don't like, and very human moments that I have. You're allowed to have them, so stop being so tough on yourself and know that everything's okay. Breathe deep. It's kind of a heavy time right now because we just went through Christmas. And in the Northern Hemisphere here, it's our darkest, our literally lack of sunlight, darkest time of year. And then we're going into a new year. And so it can just feel like a heavy time. And I feel like it's a time where all of this stuff is coming out. And we just have to breathe deep, take one moment at a time, and know that everything is okay. Okay, for the middle of the week here, we have new home. And the card says, moving is a step in the right direction for you. Now, if you've been thinking of moving or been thinking of a new home, and I've said recently I do aspire to buy a new home somewhere here in the next year, give or take, and I just will go guided as I feel that. And if you have been feeling like you want a literal new home, whether it's you buy one, you rent one, or whatever it may be, they're saying that this is a good idea. I hear right away long distance move. Now, they're saying if you want a long distance move, it is possible, but think about it carefully. I moved once because I just felt deep in my soul like I belonged in another place because I grew up and was raised in the Midwest here in Minnesota, and I had visited Boston for the first time. Now, I don't have to tell you that probably there are many of us that have past life connections to that general area, but the first time I visited there, I just loved it. I felt like it was home. I left. I kind of almost felt emotional when I left, like I was leaving home, even though I really had never lived there. So I wanted to move, and I did move. And I remember at the time, once I decided that I wanted to move, I'm a person, I don't know about you, when I decide I want to do it, I want to do it. I will stomp my foot and light a match and just be like, I want this now. And in doing that, sometimes we can force things when we need to realize that if something's not happening, it's for a reason. And maybe you can't get into that new home or get to that new state or area right now because by the time everything does evolve for you in 6 or 7 months from now or whenever it might be, there'll be something better. Like, for instance, with me, I look at the houses that are out there now and I think, well, if I was going to do it now, maybe I'd get this one or this one. But you know what? We all have things that we want. And maybe by the time I go out to buy in 6 or 7 months, there'll be something that's better for me or a better value for me or in the exact area I want, and so on and so forth. Now, back to the cross-country or long-distance moves, they're saying that the reason that I brought up the move that I had to Boston is I wanted to go out there. I knew that I would regret someday if I never did it. I had a huge life change. I moved. And then promptly 1 year later, I ended up moving exactly back to where I came from. It wasn't exactly what I had anticipated. I got there and it was great at first. And I honestly, when I was there, I felt like my life didn't turn out the way it planned. It didn't feel great to me. I still wanted to give it 3 years and I ended up staying for a year. And it doesn't mean I can never go back there, but I just feel like even though I don't understand it, I did what I had to do. Now, they tell you that as an example to say if you want to move, especially if you're just picking something out of a hat and saying, I feel guided to move there. I feel like a lot of people, at least that I know, have been moving like just arbitrarily. And I think that's cool because as light workers, we often feel guided to have an energy reassignment. But think carefully before you do it, because it's so much easier to do your research and to let the synchronicities fall where they may before you make a sudden move like that. Because I got to tell you, it was, mentally and physically exhausting for me to move 1,400 miles in a year. So, just in case something like that happens to you, and I'm not saying it's always going to, but think before you do it. and make sure that all the details are in place, and try not to force. If a new home is not applicable or a move is not applicable, it could also mean new job or even new relationship. But they're saying that if that's something you've been wishing for, even if you don't see results or see evidence of it yet, it is on the horizon, okay? Now, the weekend card is debt paid off, and it says, the old weight and habit of debt is lifted from you and your life. What they're saying is you're going in the right direction. I feel like if you have been trying to pay off some of your bills a little bit at a time, like say maybe it's in an effort to improve your credit or just improve your overall financial situation, they're saying it's a step in the right direction. I feel like for some of you, this literally means a windfall that could pay off your debt. So I feel like there are some forces behind the scenes that we don't even see that could answer our prayers, whether we're taking one little step at a time or whether we have some sort of surprise that helps us pay off our debts. And for some of you, I'm also feeling like this might be settling emotional debts, and that might mean guilt. I'm hearing guilt. Guilt is toxic. So anything you're feeling guilty about, you need to try to maybe forgive yourself or forgive the other person so you can pay off that emotional debt. To me, though, this looks like a good card that says that good things are on the way, financially or otherwise. Okay? And then let's see what our overall message, and it says winter, and it says the answers to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. Now, right now where I live, it's winter, so this is an exciting time. If you live in the southern hemisphere, that might mean 6 months from now. And it may not mean if it is winter for you now, it's this winter, maybe it's next winter. But I feel like this is a card that is saying that your dreams and your affirmations are working and winter is the time. Now, the immediate thought that I got when I turned this card over was that I met somebody recently who lives in Canada, and I was on a trip where I met other mediums, and we all lived in different areas. Some never got cold. Some of the people were saying, I don't know how you could live in such cold. And I remember she said, I feel like I need a winter so that I can go within and do some of the things that I need to do before the weather is nice again and, I'm not able to do those things. They're also showing me one of my favorite flowers is the flower peony. It's spelled Peony, if you're not familiar with it. And to me, I love to garden. I don't do it quite enough, but I find that when I do, and I like to plant flowers, it's very cathartic to get your hands in the soil and to plant some flowers. Now, some of my favorite flowers like the peony, need a winter. So you can't grow certain things in states that don't have a winter, like there are a lot of lilacs here, and I believe that those also need a winter. And so in that vein, we need a winter and a time to go within for some of our dreams to manifest. I actually really like this card, and I like the message that's in it and the messages that are coming out this week. I love these cards. I've said it before. I just feel like they're very to the point. And to me, this looks like a great reading. Now, this week, as we have the new year, I will be doing my yearly reading. I think this year I may do it in 2 separate readings, meaning January through June and July through December, just so it's easier to watch, especially if you want to go back into it at the end of the year, so you don't have to sit there and watch the entire, 15 or so minute video just to get to, say, August, okay? But whatever is happening in your life this week, whatever you do for New Year's, whether you go within or go out, I wish you a happy, happy New Year, a wonderfully joyous and abundant 2015, and know that everything's okay and your dreams are coming true. I love each and every one of you. I want to thank you for tuning in with me from week to week, and I will speak to you all again next week in 2015.